guys, it's Nasim here. Now, after using the iPad 9th Gen for about 4 months now, there was a saying that kept coming to my head whenever I was thinking about my use with this product. And that saying is, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. And this saying kept coming to my mind because when you think about it, the iPad 9th Gen experience is extremely similar to the iPad 8th Gen experience when it comes to everyday use. And that's okay. Because even though the 9th Gen iPad had nothing new to offer in terms of features, design, power, or even usability, just like the iPad 8th Gen, the 9th Gen version still is miles ahead of its competition that's in the same price range. It's better than every single Amazon tablet by far, it's better than the cheaper Samsung tablets by far, and it's better than any other company that's able to produce a cheaper tablet by far. Even the software alone is much better than any of the other cheaper options that you can get within a tablet. And I think that the iPad 9th Gen is a great representation as to how Apple was able to create the greatest lineup of tablets that are not only extremely reliable, but much more user-friendly. And just like a lot of other products that Apple managed to come out with, the iPad 9th Gen is indeed the safest quality tablet that you can get for under $400 in 2022. And the first reason as to why I think that the 9th Gen iPad is still the best tablet after 4 months of use is because of the insanely reliable software. And I say extremely reliable software because Apple is one of the most powerful companies in the world, meaning that a lot of people use their products and are familiar with their software. And if you are someone who used Apple software, then you would know that it's much easier for anybody to learn within a week of using. The fact that it has an incredibly friendly messenger, the fact that you can FaceTime anyone with an Apple device as long as you have Wi-Fi, the fact that every app is in plain sight and is easy to hide or delete, and the fact that everything is simple, fun, and fast makes the iPad 9th Gen the easiest choice for anyone who's looking for a tablet. And in my personal experience, I would say that the software was just as smooth as higher end tablets like the iPad Mini 6 or the iPad Air 4. I had all the features and functionalities that came with both tablets, and I still was able to get a ton of work done on it without it moving slow on me at all. I also love the fact that I could put widgets on my screen, so I didn't have to go into the app to get useful information, and I was able to move them on any spot of my liking, just like on all of the other higher end iPads. Also, the split screen really helped me whenever I used it because a lot of times I would be writing for an upcoming video, and I needed to keep notes of a certain spec, and I had it by my side whenever I needed it. Now, something else that I noticed about the 9th Gen iPad after 4 months of use was that it had a pretty okay battery for a cheap tablet. And when I say okay, I mean pretty bad. Like on most days, I would get around 3 to 5 hours of daily on-screen time, and most of the time that wasn't enough to get me through my work sessions, so I had to keep it plugged in whenever I was using it. There were even times when I was at work and my iPad would completely die on me while I was in the middle of typing ideas for a project, and I then would have to go on my iPhone, which was a bummer because I needed my iPad to pull through and get the job done. And something else that also bothered me about the battery was the fact that it would get extremely hot whenever I was charging it and get slower. Like at the end of my day, I would put my iPad on a charger and watch YouTube while I was charging. And all of a sudden, it would get pretty hot, which made it very uncomfortable to hold. I even tried to put it on my lap on multiple occasions, and it still was very distracting when I would watch videos. I also didn't like the fact that there were slower charging speeds. Like whenever I would charge it during the day, I would usually go to the gym to run some errands, and by the time I got back, it would only be charged up to 40% and would get me frustrated since the battery life was lacking. And I would say that this was one of the problems that got on my nerves when it came to my everyday use. But if you're someone who uses this iPad for simple things like games, schoolwork, or simple tasks, then you won't mind the battery as much. Now, something that I loved and hated about the 9th Gen iPad was the 10.2-inch LED backlit display that ultimately was a great screen for the price, but was incredibly hindered by the incredibly outdated uneven bezels that were on many of the older iPads. And the reason that I hate the uneven bezels is because whenever I was watching a movie or video, the black bezels were often distracting because they were just too big. Like when you look at every other iPad that came out in 2021, they all have even bezels that are small so they don't distract you. But when it came to the iPad 9th Gen, the bezels were so huge that I ultimately prefer watching movies on my iPad Air 4 because I will often get distracted. And I think what really does it for me is the fact that they are so uneven. So it's not only distracting, but it also gives you that old look that shouldn't even be a thing in this decade. But besides that, I would say that if you can look past those ugly bezels, then you will notice that it's a pretty great screen for its price. The colors are vibrant, the resolution kept up pretty well, and the saturation was pretty good, unlike a lot of other tablets that typically have low saturation. I also admired the fact that the screen didn't feel cheap at all and had some quality despite the tablet having such a low price. And to give you guys an idea of what I mean, here are some examples of me watching videos and playing games on the 9th Gen iPad.
That's hard.
Clean though, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully it was. These are the Nanoleaf lines, and it changes the whole dynamic. Like, it looks so clean. Just imagine, like, when I'm streaming, I know it's gonna look really good in the background when I'm streaming, so I decided to put them up here.
Now, something else that I really loved about my iPad 9th Gen after 4 months of using was the insanely loud, crystal clear speakers. And one thing that I've always liked about iPads as a whole is the fact that they've always had really nice speakers, and the 9th Gen iPad was no different. The sound was clear, the bass was heavy, and whenever I was watching videos on it, I completely forgot that they were under $400 because of how great they sounded. And to give you guys an example of what I mean, here's a sound test to show you how great these speakers are.
Clearly they're seeing a lot of interest, and that's all assuming no delays. So they're saying something like spring 2022, that's assuming no delays. And then the Tesla Cybertruck is the most delayed so far out of all these three. Last we heard, Elon tweeted that it would be coming out late 2022, barring unforeseen delays. But then again, also last week, Tesla removed the 2022 estimate from their website. So hopefully not delayed, maybe?
Now, the final thing that I wanted to touch on when it came to the 9th Gen iPad was the 12 megapixel camera that was pretty great for its price. And even though I didn't use the camera on the iPad this much, I still wanted to show you guys some pictures that I took so you can get an idea of why I say that it was pretty good for the price. And when we look at daytime photos, we can see that whenever the lighting was good, the pictures were pretty good themselves, the graininess was pretty low, the colors were pretty accurate, and the subjects were pretty sharp for a low quality camera. Even in the night when the lighting was right, the graininess was still there but was low. The subjects lacked color, but the sharpness was still there. And it turned out to be a little discolored according to iPad's selfie camera. And when it comes to the 9th Gen iPad's video camera, I would say that this was the best part of the camera for me. The colors were vibrant, the sharpness was accurate, and the graininess was really low. And to show you guys what I mean, here are some examples of photos that I took in the daytime and the nighttime. And there it is, you guys, my final review of the iPad 9th Gen after using it for 4 months. Everything that the iPad 8th Gen got right and wrong, the 9th Gen did the same. And since the 8th Gen iPad was such a huge hit for Apple last year, they decided to make the same product with a slightly faster chip. And if I'm being honest, I can't be mad. And for that price, this is an amazing buy, and despite its flaws, it's still a great all-around tablet for its productivity and usability. Now let me know down in the comments, what other reason would you get the iPad 9th Gen for other than that amazing price? Let me know. And if you guys made it to the end of this video, I'd like to say thank you for sticking around. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe, it'll be very appreciated. And as far as social media, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.